pivotal point in our nation's history. That is why I'm running, because I think we're at a pivotal point. I think 2016 is all about the direction we want to take this country. I think 2016 is all about leadership. And I think 2016 also is all about whether or not we're going to re-engage people in the process of their government. There was recently a poll released that said that 82% of the American people now think that we have a professional political class in Washington, D.C. that is more concerned with the preservation of its power, its title, its position, its privilege, than it is with doing the people's work. In many ways, Bill and Hillary Clinton have become the personification of that professional political class, but they're not the only ones. There are a lot of people who don't vote anymore. And when you talk to those people who don't vote, it's not that they don't care, it's they think their voice doesn't count. When I was a little girl, in elementary school actually, since we're here in an elementary school here in New Boston, about 8 years old, my mother one Sunday morning looked at me and said, "What you are is God's gift to you, what you make of yourself is your gift to God." I didn't feel very gifted as a young girl or as a young woman. And so those words, I remember them all my life. I still remember them every day. They seemed like a promise to me that I had given God-given gifts somewhere, and they seemed like a challenge to find them and use them. I've traveled all over the world. I started as a secretary, ended up as the chief executive of the largest technology company in the world, run charities, advised government. And I've learned in every situation I've ever been in that indeed everyone has God-given gifts. Most people have far more potential than they realize. I can tell you about a charity I ran as chairman until I declared my candidacy for the presidency, called Opportunity International. We're the largest private microfinance organization in the world. We've lent $8 billion, $150 at a time. We've lifted millions of people out of poverty, and I have met people in destitute and desperate circumstances all over the world. And yet, every person has God-given gifts, and when we've given someone $150 of tools and training and support and told them you could build a life of dignity and purpose and meaning, and we're going to help you do that, those gifts come out. And that's why my story is only possible here. It's only possible here. To start out typing and filing in a 9-person real estate firm, go on to become the chief executive of the largest technology company in the world, and run for the presidency of the United States. That's only possible here. The people of America are disquieted. The people of New Hampshire are disquieted. I feel it every time I speak with you. I think Americans are disquieted because in addition to seeing that the political process isn't working for them anymore, I think people are afraid we're losing something now. And I think they believe we're missing something. I think what people are afraid we're losing is the sense of limitless possibility that has always defined this nation. So we now are tangling people's lives up in webs of dependence. Instead of saying to people, you have God-given gifts, you can live a life of dignity, purpose, and meaning, we're going to help you move forward in your life. No, we're tangling people's lives up in these webs of dependence that encourage them not to move forward with their lives, but encourage them to fall back. The truth is, crony capitalism is alive and well. What's crony capitalism? Crony capitalism exists when big business and big influence and big government all get together. And I know as the chief executive of a $90 billion firm, that's how big Hewlett-Packard was when I left it. If I didn't like something going on in Washington, I could hire lawyers, accountants, lobbyists, but the 9-person real estate firm can't. So every time we pass a new regulation in Washington, D.C., or a new law that makes government bigger and more complicated, what happens? The big get bigger, the small get crushed. Or Obamacare, another hugely complicated piece of government. The effect of it is hospitals are consolidating, drug companies companies are consolidating. Insurance companies are consolidating. And have you seen the stats on Obamacare lately? Emergency room visits are up. Health insurance premiums are up. The number of hospitals in network is down. The number of doctors who will take Medicare and Medi-Cal is down. We have a lot of problems in this country. We have a lot of wounds. But every one of those problems can be solved. Every one of those wounds is self-inflicted. Because we have the only thing we really need to fix every problem. We have limitless potential of the American people. But what is happening now is the potential of this nation literally is being crushed by the weight, the power, the cost, the complexity, the ineptitude, the corruption of the federal government. And nowhere is leadership more missing than in the world today. You know, the truth is, the world's a very dangerous and a tragic place when we are not leading. That doesn't mean we rush off to war, but it does mean we have to have the moral clarity and the courage to confront our adversaries and stand with our allies. Our allies have asked us for very specific things. The Kurds have asked us to arm them for 3 years. We are not doing so. The Egyptians have asked us to provide intelligence. The Bahrainis, the Qataris, the Saudis, all of these allies know this is their fight, but they expect support from us. And so instead of having a summit in Camp David to try and talk these same allies into a very bad deal with Iran, I would hold a summit in Camp David to talk to these allies about what they need from us to fight ISIS. In addition to getting our out-of-control government bureaucracy under control so that we lift its weight off the backs of this nation, in addition to reforming these webs of dependence we've woven around people's lives, in addition to getting the economy going and growing again, we need to reset foreign policy. And I don't mean with a gimmicky red button. I mean by actually taking action that restore our allies' faith in us and remind our adversaries that they need to fear us. You know, I led HP through a very difficult time. 6 years of the worst technology recession post 9/11 dot-com bust. And in that 6-year period, we doubled the size of the company to $90 billion. We took the growth rate to 5 times what it had been at the beginning of that period. Despite difficult times, we quadrupled cash flow, we tripled innovation to 11 patents a day. We went from lagging behind to leading in every product category and every market segment. And at the end of that 6-year period, I got fired in a boardroom brawl that played out over 2 weeks, which is a reminder that when you lead, when you challenge the status quo, you make enemies. It's part of what happens. But nevertheless, we need leadership now in the White House. You know, Tony very nicely referenced my press conference. I've held many press conferences. I've been asked loads of questions by the media since I declared my candidacy, probably over 500 now. And I've gotten asked a lot of really interesting questions. One of the questions that was most interesting is one that I was asked here in New Hampshire by a national television reporter. And the question was, did I believe that a woman's hormones prevented her from serving in the Oval Office? So, ladies, this is a little test. Can you think of a single instance in which a man's judgment was clouded by hormones? Hillary Clinton must not be president of these United States. Not because she's a woman. Hillary Clinton must not be president of these United States because she is not trustworthy and she lacks a track record of leadership. We need somebody in the Oval Office now who understands the economy and how it actually works and how to get it back on track. We need somebody in the White House who understands how the world works and who's in it and how they operate. We need somebody in the White House who understands how bureaucracies work because our government has become one giant, bloated, unaccountable bureaucracy that has forgotten who it is there to serve and forgotten as well who is paying for it.